And in New Orleans, we find the spirit of giving alive and well in time for the holiday season. In the author section, we will speak to a travel expert whose area of interest is women's travel issues. In our travel segment, we will visit Saint-Tropez, France, located on the French Riviera. This is a luxury resort frequented by the wealthy and famous. On Webtips, we will visit the oldest organization promoting responsible tourism through conservation. Check out the top 100 events in America for 2009 on this episode of Travel Television. Now, on to the first stop.
In August of 2005, the natural disaster known as Hurricane Katrina struck the Gulf Coast. The storm ravaged Louisiana and destroyed much of New Orleans before dispersing, leaving over 1,500 dead and countless homes demolished. It has now been over 3 years since the hurricane made landfall, and though the cleanup effort continues, the work of restoring Louisiana is far from over. But in the 9th Ward, there are still people willing to sacrifice their time and energy to make a difference. This is David Smith Sr., an activist in the community and longtime volunteer. David is no stranger to sacrificing his time for the good of others.
I was a volunteer here in St. Bernard Parish for the past 24 years after I was paralyzed in a car accident. As you can see, this is what's left of my home after Katrina. I didn't think I'd ever see my home rebuilt again. I spent the past 2 years living in a FEMA trailer, waiting to die in a FEMA trailer.
Now, 3 years since the vicious storm, this veteran volunteer is getting the help he so richly deserves.
I'm Ashley Ramos.
I'm Emily Wasserman.
And we are here with the Sid Jacobson JCC program.
We're helping to build, to reconstruct the homes after Hurricane Katrina hit over 2 years ago. And we gave a December vacation because we thought that there's nothing else I could think of that is more rewarding than doing something like this. And it's just so unbelievable to see personally the faces and of these people after their homes have been destroyed, and they've all stayed so positive about it. And it's really humbling, the whole experience.
Everything here was once amazing, and now it's been ruined, and I'd like to get it back to the way it was. And I'm willing to sacrifice my vacation, anything it takes to get this done.
It's kind of sad that all these homes were once like any other homes, and now just because of a hurricane, they got ruined and they have to start from scratch. And we're here to help them.
We saw a lot of the destruction, and it was really devastating to see what had actually happened. And it was a big accomplishment to figure out that we finished this, and that there's more of a chance that somebody might move back.
For me, this was much more, as a Catholic, what Christmas is to me is to practice giving instead of receiving, and this is a perfect thing for me. I came out here to give instead of staying home and receiving a bunch of gifts, and that's practically what I'm trying, because I've been pretty spoiled up to this point, and just when I heard about New Orleans, I felt like this would be a great idea to do that, and help others.
My Christmas present, the only thing I got for Christmas this year is a whole group of volunteers. I walked outside my front door and I seen a rainbow from the beginning to the end, and 20 minutes later I found out I was going to have some 16 volunteers helping me today. If there were more people like this in America that would volunteer their time to help put people back in their homes, thanks would be immense. And if you ever needed us, I'm pretty sure most of us would pack up our things and come to you. So I would like to see a permanent facility built where they have to put in 35 hours of community service and actual accountability. That way the state has something to grasp onto, so they could fund this and make this really happen. And they put in their hours in their community service, they'll have a fed meal and a free place to stay.
I just want to thank you volunteers for everything y'all have done. This storm has been where we have seen some of the best in America and some of the most scummiest people in the world that have come here for some of their own self-gain. But to see these young people that are here to do something, not to fill their pockets, is truly amazing. A lot of the people here that are doing this work are doing it genuinely from their heart and genuinely trying to improve our lives.
And we're joined here by Peter Pantuso, the president and CEO of American Bus Association since 1996. Peter, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's start out with what ABA is well known for, the top 100 events.
Right.
Give us a description of what the top 100 events are and the kind of the evolution of them. They've been going on for 28 years now.
That's right. This is our 28th year, and the top 100 events really started 28 years ago as a way to give bus operators options of places to take their customers. It was really to keep the buses rolling and keep them busy. It's evolved over that period of time to be something much more than that. And every year we ask for submissions from the travel industry from all over the country, from every convention and visitors bureau in the country and from every state travel organization, to let us know what the best events are that are going on in their state or in their community. From that, we end up with as many as 1,000 events, and we narrow it down to the 100 best events in North America, in the U.S. and Canada.
Now, how is that narrowing down to 100 events happen? I mean, is there a committee panel? Is it the same every year? Where is it done?
There is a committee. There's usually anywhere from 12 to 15 tour operators and bus operators who make up the committee. The committee changes from year to year. We typically bring some back, but depending on where the meeting takes place, we bring operators from different regions, but we also make sure that we have operators from all over North America. We really want diverse ideas in terms of concepts of what makes a good event or where a good event is. We bring them together for 3 or 4 days to go through the 1,000 events and to narrow them down to the 100, and we end up with some, I think, outstanding events, and I think the events get better and better every year.
So when you mean better and better, explain that. Is that in terms of trends, in terms of people's sentiment of their travel ideas, and how does that work?
Sure, I think the events get better because they really respond to the traveling customer. You know, the customer's interests change over time. Customers are really made up sometimes of niche groups who want something specific to their interest. Maybe it's flowers, maybe it's food, maybe it's music. And the events have really changed to really address the needs of the individual niche traveler as well as the groups who might want to travel, who may be a very disparate group who have a lot of different interests. Each one of the top 100 events appeals to kind of a different segment of the travel industry, if you will, some broad but some very narrow.
You always give, you call them your top honors to your Canadian and also for the United States. What are those this year?
Well, that's right. For 2009, the top Canadian event that we've identified is a Tall Ships event that takes place in the summer, takes place in Halifax, and it's just an outstanding event. It's an event that's happened a couple of times in the past in Canada, not in the same place, not the same type of event. It's really going to be outstanding. We anticipate it'll draw tens of thousands of individuals for that event. The top U.S. event is the 400th anniversary of the Lake Champlain region, if you will, when Champlain founded the region, explored the region. And it was actually a little bit different for us this year because we had a submission from the state of Vermont and from the state of New York, who both share Lake Champlain. And so we did a joint 100 award to the region, to both Vermont and New York.
Let's kind of move over to American Bus Association. Why buses as opposed to, you know, airplanes or trains or automobiles? Not to take a little pun there, but
sure, no, absolutely, and that was a great movie, by the way, too.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons people travel by bus, and they travel in large numbers, and you know, we often forget that buses move more people commercially than any other form of transportation. In 2007, for example, the latest data that we have, the bus industry in the U.S. and Canada moved 775 million passengers. Wow. That's more than the airlines do. In fact, it's more than Amtrak moves, and we move more in 2 weeks than Amtrak does all year. We're the safest way to travel, and often we're a very affordable way to travel. When you're going to the top 100 events, for example, you have a tour operator who's a professional, who's putting the trip together, who's making all the arrangements, taking all your cares away so that you can enjoy the travel experience. And notwithstanding just that opportunity, buses are the safest way to travel. Our safety record is really second to none.
Thank you very much for your time today, Mr. Pantuso. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Ecotourism, also known as ecological tourism, is a form of tourism that appeals to ecologically and socially conscious individuals. In today's jargon, we might call it green travel. Generally speaking, ecotourism focuses on volunteering, personal growth, and learning new ways to live on the planet. It typically involves travel to destinations where flora, fauna, and cultural heritage are the primary attractions. One of the world's oldest and largest ecotourism organization, the International Ecotourism Society, also known as TIES, is committed to promoting the principles of ecotourism and responsible travel. Their website, ecotourism.org, is a font of information and resources for the forward-thinking traveler.
Welcome to Saint-Tropez, a place that has its own version of rush hour, one that involves yachts. Once you get on land here, you run into another traffic jam, that of the two-legged variety. This village is absolutely bustling with people and energy. But you also find quiet streets like this one that I just came up. Beautiful street that'll lead you into a little more of the action here in Saint-Tropez. We hope you enjoyed this little look into Saint-Tropez. Until next time, I'm Mark Murphy. Thanks for watching.
You don't have to travel to the Gulf Coast to volunteer your time and enthusiasm. You can be a virtual volunteer at TravelTelevision.org. We need people to help us with our web development and maintenance. We need writers, producers, video editors, artists, and anyone who has expertise in outreach and marketing. Make a difference by volunteering with this nonprofit organization, and you'll be giving a much-needed virtual boost to the volunteers in Louisiana and Mississippi. Please email us at iwantohelp@traveltelevision.org.
My one pair of tennis, underclothes, pantses.
As Hurricane Gustav took aim at New Orleans, 45-year-old Joyce Butler packed some clothes and followed a mandatory evacuation order.
We boarded a plane, and that was my first time ever getting on a plane. And they brought us here.
Butler is among hundreds of New Orleans residents relocated to Nashville, Tennessee to ride out the storm. She is staying at a Red Cross shelter at Hillcrest United Methodist Church.
Do you need to make a phone call?
I just let them know that I'm safe.
With help from church members, Butler has been able to call her adult children and stay in touch over the internet.
This is my daughter.
Paul Rearick refused to leave Metairie, Louisiana without his family, a 5-year-old tortoiseshell cat named Maggie.
And quite frankly, it's the last thing that I have left since Katrina.
Following 2005's Hurricane Katrina, Paul and his cat were turned away from 3 shelters which refused pets. Since then, home for this pair has been a FEMA trailer, then a motel room, and now a church gym.
After going through Katrina and everything, we heeded the warning and got out.
Did you get on an airplane?
Families have been told it may be a week before they can return home. Until then, volunteers are doing what they can to make their guests comfortable and to keep their minds off the stress everyone is feeling.
I worry about the children the most. I really want them to feel welcomed here.
These people have welcomed us, they have sheltered us, and they've opened their hearts. They've given the one thing that's more precious than any of that. They've given their time, and that's the one thing that we all only have a finite amount.
So I recently had a chance to sit down with Mary Beth Bond, the author of 50 Girlfriend Getaways, and get her insight as to what she feels are the best and most exciting places for women to go to today in terms of travel and safety tips, in terms of things to do with small groups, large groups, mothers and daughters, and everything in between. And here's what we had to say. Women's travel is a growing niche. Who's driving that trend today?
Well, women, young and old, are traveling. Young women take it as their birthright to be able to travel with their girlfriends. But the real power in this new and exploding industry is baby boomer women, because they put their kids through school, their husbands have gone on golfing trips, etc., and they're saying, it's my turn, I'm going now. And women 40, 50, 60 are traveling more than ever. They're traveling with their girlfriends, their sisters. They have the disposable income and they have the adventurous streak. The baby boomers are more physically fit than past generations, and they're saying, I'm going for it. I'm not going to stay home. And they're grabbing a sister or a friend and going.
You touched upon safety. You know, obviously, with women, there's the issue of safety. How do you address that in your books?
You're absolutely right. The one difference between women and men traveling, one of them, the most important, is the issue of safety. We are more concerned for our safety than men, and with good reason. From the moment we step out the door, whether it's going to a parking garage from a mall, we are aware of the footsteps behind us. How do I deal with it? I have lots and lots of safety tips. However, I also remind women that we have all the tools we need. If you live in a metropolitan area in the United States, just don't leave your common sense at home. Listen to that internal voice, and then also make some plans to make sure that you're staying in a safe neighborhood. And I have special sections in my books too for teens and young women traveling for the first time, because there are certain cultural things they must be aware of when traveling to Latin countries or countries where perhaps the dress code that's okay in the US is not appropriate there and would attract inappropriate attention. Bar behavior. Do you accept a drink from a man you don't know? Do you dance with him twice? What's expected of that? So there are a lot of good tips that can prepare women so that they can be safe. You know, one of the tips I give is I tell them to always go to not only the country but the city's Convention and Visitor Bureau or tourist site, because it'll have events, so you'll learn about free jazz festivals, food festivals. You know, maybe you can spend an afternoon to do a walk or a race for a cause that you really believe in. And it will also tell you, you know, September is the big convention month in, you know, let's say San Francisco, and you'll know it's going to be really hard to get an affordable hotel room. So by doing a little bit of research before you go, you prevent a lot of problems.
What is your personal favorite trip that you've taken? I know there's probably many, but...
Well, often it's the last trip I took or the next one I'm going to take. And in the beginning of January, I went to Nepal, and I took my 19-year-old daughter, and we worked in orphanages. And at the end of the trip, the magnificent Himalayas, we did a couple days of trekking. We saw the World Heritage sites, the temples in the Kathmandu Valley. And on the way back, I said to my daughter, what was your favorite thing? And you know what she said? The children. It was the children in the orphanages. And so that I love the Himalayas. I love hiking. It can be the Appalachian Trail. It can be in the Tetons or Montana. I love the outdoors. And then where I'm going next, I'm going to Charleston and Savannah. It's very female friendly. It's one of those places with beautiful architecture, terrific dining. You know, it's safe for women. It's staying in the general area. There's jazz festivals, food festivals, and then in the spring there's always the flower festival and the house and garden tours, so you can get into private homes. And it's always fun to see people's homes.
Thank you very much. This has been Mary Beth Bond. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
I'm here to help out my fellow Americans.
Habitat for Humanity, it's a nonprofit. It's led by our staff and built house with volunteers. We're trying to build somewhere around 250 houses in the whole Gulf Coast. And here we have 7 Blitz houses. We start from a floor system, and by the end of the week, we'll be completely finished. It's really exciting when people decide to come down here and spend their vacation with us.
I took a little time off from work and just hopped a flight, got right down here and started building the house you see right behind us.
It's really nice to come out here and to be a part of the group that believes that we have a responsibility to give to other people. It just felt like the thing to do.
You don't always need to have a vacation that's just for you. Sometimes a vacation that really gives back to the community is as good as a vacation.
When I drive around the city of New Orleans and I see the devastation from Katrina, we're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of devastation, a lot of empty lots. On a grand scale, it's a small contribution, but it's still a contribution.
When the storm actually hit, people thought everybody forgot about them, but I think in their heart they know now that the people, just like them, want to come from all over the world and help build, and they're cared about.
We have a small staff, and none of this is as possible at all with the staff we have. We can maybe build 2 houses at a time, but we're able to build sometimes around 50 houses at a time because of all the volunteers.
To see a full house built, to know with my hands I've built a house, someone's going to be living in the house because I've helped build it, the feeling is almost indescribable.
America is not perfect, but I think we work really hard to be as good as we can be.
It can be a hostile world out there, so travelers who like the ease and economy of hostel lodging should visit hostelworld.com. This site provides secure online booking for hostels in more than 17,000 inns located in over 168 countries around the world. The website offers an array of other helpful travel information and comprehensive content, such as city and country guides, route planners, and pocket guides. Members can upload pictures from their trips, blog about their experiences, make sure others visit a must-see or avoid a must-not-see, and share general tips with other travelers. Package tours are also available, all at a relatively reasonable cost.
We're here in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, and I don't know if y'all have heard about it, but this town has pretty much gotten wiped out from Katrina. The eye of the storm did hit this area, and there's been a lot of surrounding areas that's also been hit, like Louisiana and parts of Alabama, but Mississippi really has gotten the worst of it, I have to say. If you have been down the coastline, you can see that there are no more homes where at the times there were mansions out there, beautiful houses, and now there's nothing there. You may see some Katrina cottages there, some people rebuilding, but it's a slow process, and it is taking a long time, and I'm sure it's going to take quite a bit of time to come before things are all back to normal, but slowly things are coming back, to normal. I have been seeking some help to kind of regain my ability to live back in a house again, and been living in a FEMA trailer for a little over 2 years. I got together with Kathleen Johnson at Katrina Relief. She sent an organization here from Nebraska, and they've been terrific. Yesterday I had a house standing here that was pretty much watered out, and it was rotted from the storm, and as you can see today, now it's it's down, and they're in full steam with it. They're in full process of helping me get back to a normal life again, and I'm so thankful for the people that have come and the volunteers that have been doing all this work. It's just really been great.
To see volunteer stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net.
As the Gulf Coast rebuilds after Hurricane Katrina, it's not just the landscape that is changing.
We understand that the Hispanic population was about 15,000 before Katrina. We're well over 50,000 now.
Hispanic workers are flocking to Biloxi, looking for jobs and hoping for a better life for their families. But they face some big challenges.
Helping people get their children in school. We've had a lot of people whose wages didn't get paid.
United Methodist pastor Sally Bevel heads a new ministry helping immigrants in Mississippi. Many have trouble finding houses they can afford. The program helped Maria Castillo catch up on her rent while caring for her family after the hurricane.
I don't have the words to describe how what they've done has helped me.
Bevel says some workers have been mugged while carrying cash because they can't open bank accounts.
People just think because they may be undocumented or they don't speak the language that they can just abuse them.
Let's review the parts of the body.
Ankle.
Foot.
Here, new arrivals can learn English and build confidence to speak up.
You can go to the store and I'm not afraid because somebody can ask me a question and I'll be able to answer them, or I can go to the doctor and they're able to understand me and I'm able to understand them. Hello. Hola.
And despite the devastation of the storms, Bevel sees new possibilities.
We're watching a new creation along the coast, a new community, a place where God is taking what was so devastating and making something hopeful and new out of it. And to be a part of that is life-changing.